Okay, Lucy. Thanks, Lucia. And good morning and good afternoon to everybody joining us today on this virtual information session on Jamaica as a potential market for exporters, new and seasoned exporters, of course. And my name's Tanya Prisk. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Women in Business, and we are so proud to be leading another delegation in person this time to the beautiful island of Jamaica. And welcome to all of our friends from the island. It's lovely to see you, and we can hardly wait to see you in person this year. Together with the Atlantic Canada Opportunities, who have given us the opportunity to lead this mission. We're really thrilled to be bringing today some information for you to think about as you enter the market or continue to do business in the region. So together with our consultants, Beyond Ventures and M&C Latin Consulting, who will be the matchmakers for the mission as well. So really just wanted to thank you for your time. Welcome back to those who joined us on Tuesday for the Miami portion of the information sessions. If this is anything like we had on Tuesday, it's jam-packed with lots of good information, opportunity for you to ask questions. And of course, we're available after the presentation for answering any questions or providing some advice to you. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Craig Williams from the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency to welcome you to the session as well.
Well, thank you very much, Tanya. I really appreciate that and appreciate the Center for Women in Business to be the coordinating energy behind this project. Greatly appreciate it. This is, I think in the last session on Tuesday, we said that we've been doing this together since 2016. And a lot of companies have seen great results as a result of these energies. Also want to just say a shout out to Jennifer, your communications person, who's also part of the team as well. Jennifer, welcome and thank you for all the work you're going to do and have been doing. Thank you very much. As well as welcome to all the delegates and guest speakers, people who committed time and energy to be here today. We're excited for you to participate, and we're excited for your presentations and your experience that you're going to share with us. This is a market profile session for a mission that's going to happen in September 2022. Late September from September 21st, 2nd, and 3rd in Miami, and then 26th, 27th, 28th, and potentially 29th and 30th in Jamaica. So this is what we do is we typically try to cover 2 markets in a mission to give opportunities for companies to be able to get the most out of their travel and us the most out of our budget. So we're excited and we believe that this has a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of things, just very broadly, Tanya's going to get into the details of what's going to be covered in the mission later on, but just from a broad perspective, this is a multi-sector mission. It's a market diversification mission. It's part of the Atlantic strategy or ACOA Nova Scotia's market diversification strategy, and promoting Atlantic Canadian companies to look at markets outside of the United States and China, and which consume over 80% of our exports. It's pan-Atlantic. We're recruiting from across the 4 provinces, and it's non-gender specific. So while we're really excited and heavily encourage women entrepreneurs, you know, we're and for the Center for Women in Business to promote this in their with their membership. This is we're encouraging all owners to participate until we're at capacity. We have, and as Tanya has alluded to, we have a great agenda of speakers, and the very first speakers that we have are our colleagues with Global Affairs and the Trade Commissioner Service in Kingston, Jamaica. We have, they're going to talk to us about the state of the Canadian business, the state of business in Jamaica, and particular sectors of interest. We've been working with the High Commission there for, like I said, since 2016, and prior to that, because this mission has been on the go for over 10 years in Jamaica. And where we have Yasmin Chong and also Leslie Ann Endeavor, both trade commissioners. And I'll talk a little bit about their backgrounds. Yasmin is a qualified, experienced international relations and trade practitioner who specifically, whose specialty is in public administration, policy, and regulation. At the High Commission of Canada in Kingston, Yasmin currently holds official portfolio responsibility for clean tech and the education sectors in Jamaica, but Jamaica also covers some other jurisdictions, including the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands, the Turks and Caicos Islands. Presenting with Yasmin as well will be Leslie Ann Endeavor. Leslie Ann is a certified international trade professional and has been a trade commissioner with the High Commission for the last 5 years. She maintains the portfolio responsibility of infrastructure and ICT, information and communications technology, and also under their responsibilities covers Jamaica, the Bahamas, Cayman Islands, Turks and Caicos. Leslie Ann was previously worked across the public and private sectors, and presently also serves on the Environmental Committee of the High Commission. So they have a great presentation. I've seen it, and we're excited to hear their perspectives. So the floor is over to Yasmin and Leslie Ann.
Thank you so much, Craig, and good morning, everyone. If I could just use a few seconds, Craig, to acknowledge some colleagues that I have not seen in years. Trevor, great to see you again. And I also want to recognize Danielle and Sandra and my prize Canadian company, Rosewall. Dan, I see you there too. So great to see everyone. We are just going to do a very brief overview and leave most of the time for questions after. So if we could go to the next slide. So the economic overview shows that the Jamaican economy actually rebounded in the third quarter, October to December, with a GDP growth estimated at 6%. The figures, the statistics show a relatively positive outlook, as the 6% growth in October to December was derived really from an expansion of goods producing industries, as well as 7.8% in the services industry. Now, we believe that much of the contributing factors for this small, albeit but important growth includes the relaxation of the measures that were in place to stem the spread of COVID-19 in Jamaica. This, of course, with the relaxation led to higher domestic demand for goods and services, increased production, and higher employment, which really encouraged improved business and consumer confidence. Oil and food prices, of course, are mainly affected by the international markets, but as we all know, those are the main drivers of headline inflation. So Jamaica's current inflation target is within a range of 4 to 6%. However, annual inflation has now surpassed that target. So we're currently tracking at about 9.7%, which remains, as we all know, a real risk to future growth forecasts. For October to December 2021, inflation of 1.8% largely reflected the impact of high electricity prices, of course, because Jamaica is a net importer of fuel, whether it be crude oil or LNG. So the price of electricity, which is a critical component of manufacturing and the goods and services sectors, were higher, prices were higher. And this was reflected, of course, in housing, water, electricity, petrol, and other fuels, which accounts for about 7.1%. Price movements, of course, largely stem from the disruptions in the global supply of goods, which resulted in not only higher price commodities, but also very importantly, transportation, and in particular, the shipping costs. The Russia-Ukraine war has not made that situation any better. In fact, it has done the opposite. It has contributed significantly, in the first instance, to higher oil prices. And now we're seeing where that too is being affected on the food and agricultural side. Next slide. So as a small island state, small, but might I say mighty, Jamaica remains vulnerable to climate action. We have hurricanes, tropical storms, and associated risks, and just a couple days of rain really produces tremendous flooding in certain areas here in Jamaica. So in that regard, there is also some protection in place for natural disasters, or as some would say, acts of God, where the World Bank had priced a catastrophe bond, which provides governments like the government of Jamaica with financial protection of up to about US $185 million against losses for the damaging effects of weather patterns, such as the 3 storms that we had most recently, which were in the Atlantic tropical cyclone seasons. And that ends, this bond ends in 2023. So the government of Jamaica was the first government in the Caribbean region and the first of any small island state to independently sponsor a catastrophe bond, also known as the CAT bond. And Jamaica was one of the 16 countries in the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility that benefited from this CAT bond in 2021, having drawn down about $500 million in catastrophic payouts from the CCRIF. Next slide, please. So we have here a table which reflects the latest status provided by the PIOJ, which reflects a 4.4 growth in the economy from January to December 2021 compared to January to December of 2020, which are the 2 indicator years that we are using for this presentation. Next slide, please. So what does the economic outlook look like? Jamaica has moved to complete easing of containment measures, the COVID-19 containment measures that were in place. And this was done in order to stimulate greater recovery and expand economic activities in most industries for the fiscal year 2022-2023. The forecast for the current fiscal year is that the economy will grow by about 3 to 6%, which is on the lower end of the targeted growth rate of 6 to 9%. So the economy is projected to achieve, hopefully, pre-COVID-19 levels of output in 2023 to 24. That's certainly the track that we are on, while the pre-COVID-19 employment level is projected to be achieved in this current fiscal year, 2022 to 2023. The main downside to this positive outlook continues to be the possibility of additional waves. Well, that's no more a possibility because Jamaica has now entered its 5th wave of COVID-19 infections, which may require, and the government has not yet signaled, but it may require the reimposition of restrictions and a curtailment in demand and output. So after 24 months of the pandemic, Jamaica is seeking to build back better and stronger. Among the many targets that are important to this growth and building back better, energy efficiency, improving that efficiency and management, as well as increasing the supply of cleaner energy sources and smart technologies, which are vital ingredients for a more adaptive and resilient economy. The government of Jamaica has also hinted at the development of a market diversification strategy across and within local industries, in particular agriculture, agro-processing, agro-food, food security, in addition to business process outsourcing, mining, and tourism. Next slide, please. So in terms of this mission that we are expecting, prospects for the overall economy in the short term are positive, based on the continued positive impact of the lifting of COVID-19 containment measures on the domestic economy, the reopening of the economies of Jamaica's trading partners, namely Canada is one of those, which augurs well for increased external demand, especially for industries which Jamaica and many other Caribbean islands rely on so heavily, that being tourism. Also higher employment levels, which should result in increased domestic demand for goods and services. Next slide, please. So as a small island developing state, Jamaica is highly vulnerable to climate change impacts, of course, such as sea level rise, coastal erosion, and changes in precipitation patterns. Studies indicate a likely increase in the intensity of extreme weather events due to climate change, and hence Jamaica is now focusing on climate action that can be taken to mitigate against the damaging impact and effects of these weather patterns. These, along with future focus and plans underway for a smarter and greener economy, has presented some short to medium term opportunities for Canadian exporters across a range of sectors, but in particular, the following priority sectors for us here in Jamaica: clean tech, which includes the smart technology, international education and commercial partnerships, which is something that we are very strongly pursuing. Infrastructure in terms of construction and building materials, the green building approach, products and services, and of course, one of the main drivers of all of this, the information and communication technology. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Leslie Ann, who will go through the infrastructure and the ICT sectors.
Leslie Ann, you got about 3 or 4 minutes. Just one.
Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, Craig. And good day, all. It certainly is a pleasure to join and share with you today. So as I take it on the infrastructure sector, and you would have seen from the earlier slide that Yasmin shared, in 2021, the construction sector recorded a 9.1% growth. So since the advent of the pandemic, that has been one of the first sectors to reopen as part of the rebuilding and strategic focus for the country. So in recent years, we've seen a surge in public and private sector led residential and non-residential projects. Across the infrastructure works being taken, we see across the airport and aerodrome upgrades, residential housing, including regular housing and high-end development. Downtown Kingston has been a strategic area of focus with a multi-year undertaking for redevelopment, including hotels, conference center, office buildings. There is also a strategic focus on business process outsourcing centers and special economic zone facilities. Alongside, there is port and near port development, and of course, social infrastructure. So we're seeing hospital, school upgrades, a new prison facility. And for instance, just mid last year, the government had put the tender for the business case towards that new facility and whether or not it may be pursued by public-private partnerships. So despite the pandemic, the housing market remains in high demand. And of course, the strain and the needs for the expansion of our hospitals and healthcare systems. If we might go to the next slide, please. So the government of Jamaica also has a plan for the transition to a logistics-centered economy. And as you'll note here, since December 2017, there was an industry analysis and master plan undertaken for the logistics hub development. So at full build out, we'll see over 3,900 hectares of development across the island. At the time, the indications were 28 billion US of investment. And that seeks to really integrate air, land, and sea movement. And, you know, we will see our 14 seaports, our 3 international airports, and of course, linking to the special economic zones, which I mentioned. So the key areas of focus for the Logistics Hub Initiative are maritime, aviation, industrial, utilities, road, and rail. To the next slide, where we'll look at some of the opportunities now. So again, you know, with the construction products, we're seeing, you know, special areas such as wall treatments, clean room, specialty flooring, lighting. We're seeing green building technologies and associated services as we look towards greater energy efficiencies. And also in terms of investments right across, we're seeing opportunities in public-private partnerships across housing and water, roads. There is also, you know, avenues and opportunities underway with the Jamaica Railway Corporation, and there's presently a major tender underway for the construction of the new Houses of Parliament for the government of Jamaica, which closes off in June, end of June 2022. So on the next slide, we will just tap in onto the ICT sector, which is really seen in keeping with our National Development Plan, Vision 2030, as an enabling sector of all other sectors. And certainly in this, we've seen a number of initiatives underway, looking at e-land typing, looking at Jamaica Customs with their e-payment, the Registrar General's Department. So there have been some major initiatives underway, as well as the development of the business process outsourcing sector. And as we seek to move up the knowledge chain in knowledge process outsourcing. The telecom sector has had one of the highest levels of investment. And last year we've had 2 providers joining in, Rock Mobile and Neptune Communications. And if we may go to the next slide, I will just touch briefly on some of the ICT opportunities, which remain around cybersecurity and data protection, e-learning with school infrastructure, IT as a service, business process as a service, artificial intelligence and fintech. And of course, given the advent of the pandemic, just the priority of digital enabled services right across government and the private sectors remain a priority. So I will just turn it back to Yasmin to share briefly on clean tech and education as we seek to wrap, and our presentations will be shared with you.
Guys, we're out of time. If we go further, I'm afraid we're going to cut off somebody at the end. I don't know. So I wonder. We have your presentation. We are going to circulate it to all the delegates or people on the line. The information is incredible. Really appreciate it, but I really want to be mindful of the other people who we have here. So if people have questions, if you could put them in the chat, we greatly appreciate it. As well as feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, you and your company, if you haven't done that yet. I apologize, Yasmin, but we're going to move on at this point. And what we're going to do is we will as well circulate not only the presentation, but we'll also circulate the information, the contacts for Yasmin and Leslie Ann at the High Commission in Kingston. Next, we have a representative from the business development function in Jamaica. The function is called JAMPRO. And Stephen Chiru is the representative, the trade and investment, and he works on behalf of the Canadian region, and he's based out of the Consul General of Jamaica. And I believe, where is that located, Stephen? Is that in Ottawa or in Toronto?
No, it's actually in Toronto, in Midtown Toronto.
Right. Stephen his focus is on business and market development strategies responsible for identifying, accessing, and facilitating trade and investment opportunities in Canada, for Jamaica, and across a diverse set of industries, whilst managing a portfolio of professionals in both markets. Stephen, welcome. We appreciate you committing your time to be here today, as long as with everybody else. And the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Craig. Let me just see if I can share my screen here. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Craig, and the rest of the team from ACOA and Beyond Ventures for affording me this opportunity to speak to this esteemed audience. My name is Stephen Chiru, and as Craig mentioned, I'm the Trade and Investment Consul for JAMPRO in the Canada region. And today, I mean, Leslie and Yasmin did a really good job of giving a good up-to-date overview of the economy. So I'm going to try not to repeat any of the bits that they had already covered. So just quickly, who JAMPRO is: we are, as Craig mentioned, the agency of the government of Jamaica that's responsible for trade and investment promotion among the local and international private sector. We have offices in Jamaica, of course, our head office, offices in Toronto, which covers Canada, in New York, which covers the US, and in London, which covers the greater EU and UK regions. All right, just a little bit more on some of our main services on the investment sides. We are your partner if you're looking to Jamaica to do business. And specifically on the investment side, we provide services such as business matchmaking and meetings, site selection, business approval facilitation, specialized market information and research. And the Film Commission is actually also based out of JAMPRO, hence we do film registration for those projects. On the export side of things, part of JAMPRO's mandate is exporter registration. So we have a good sense of all the exporters on the island and their capabilities and needs. We provide also specialized market information and research, market penetration support, business matchmaking, and business development support. It's good to note that all these services are free, both to local and international persons wishing to do business in Jamaica. Just a little bit more about the quick facts on Jamaica. Yasmin and Leslie mentioned some of them, but I think it's also very important to reiterate that we are a very open and transparent, we have a very open and transparent investment regime in Jamaica. And this may differ from country to country, so it's very important to note that. Educated and trained workforce of 1.3 million people, and that was at 2020. We are the largest English-speaking country in the Caribbean, and I know that may be a little bit obvious, but we are, outside of the US and Canada, it's Jamaica next in the region. Very robust telecommunications infrastructure with built-in redundancy, and this has been, a big part of the success that Jamaica has achieved in the BPO and outsourcing industry, where that infrastructure is critical. Strong road infrastructure across the island, reduced debt to GDP ratio by 17% in 5 years to 105% in 2020. It's important to note that before the pandemic, Jamaica's debt to GDP ratio was down to 96%. So we're on track in achieving the under 100% in the next couple of years. Pre-pandemic, we had 6 consecutive years of growth. So Jamaica was very poised on hitting those targets. And as Yasmin would have mentioned, the expected 3 to 6% growth in the upcoming year is what we're looking at. We have no foreign exchange controls. That's also very important for investors. 0 restrictions on foreign ownership of land and assets, and no restriction on repatriation of profits. Just a little bit more on some of Jamaica's most recent accolades. In 2015 and 2018, Jamaica's stock market, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, was ranked #1 globally. And this has, the trend has continued for local Jamaicans to be a part of this movement. And the JSC continues to register strong interest both locally and internationally. So that's also something that you can take a look at. Jamaica was ranked 6th globally by the World Bank for starting a business. And our credit rating currently stands at stable coming out of the pandemic slump. The rating by Standard & Poor's in 2021, and Fitch is a B+ rating, which is stable as of March 2021. Jamaica has very strong air connectivity, and this is evidenced in our over 400 international flights weekly through 40 airlines. Our two major markets are between 2 to 4 hours away, which is the US and Canada, but on the reverse, it also highlights Jamaica's strategic advantages for those two countries to do business because of our nearshore location and our strategic location in between North and South America. So for Canadian companies who are looking to tap into the South, Jamaica is really a good place to start, and we have access, whether through air connectivity and trade agreements, to the other southern countries. Very strong sea connectivity. I think this is very important for persons in that space. We're the #1 transshipment port in the region. Very strong capacity in terms of TEUs, over 14 million, and we're home to the 7th largest harbor in the world. Jamaica has both cruise and commercial ports. A little bit more on the logistics side, and I guess this presents also an area for opportunity for Canadian companies, is that we have a very diverse ecosystem of support services for logistics, which includes modern warehousing and distribution hubs, which provide services such as bunkering, maintenance, and ship repairs, international ship registry and the ability to do ship chandling, attractive special economic zone incentive legislation, and we also have final stage logistics customization for Caribbean and Central markets. It's also important to note that there is an ongoing, I guess, economic partnership agreement, CaribCan, which both Jamaicans and Canadians can tap into on the trade side. Yes, on the logistics side, Jamaica is positioned to becoming the logistics, the leading logistics hub in the region. We are home to the Caribbean Maritime University, offering a great talent pool, the largest port community system in the Americas with 6 seaports and 2 airports. And yes, to energy right now. I believe there's some people in the audience who are in that industry, hence why we're going to just talk very briefly on this and the opportunities that this presents. So the Jamaican government has made a very ambitious announcement to diversify its energy source from the current state of 14% renewables to about 50% by 2037. And this in and of itself presents many opportunities for companies in the green energy space and the renewable and waste to energy space. So we can talk a little bit more about that in the discussion, but these are just some indications as to where the government's plans are to procure 500 megawatts of renewable energy by 2025, which is pretty nearby, pretty close. Growing energy demand, both by residential and commercial uses, hence there are opportunities for the provision of products and services in that space. And just a little bit more stats on the integrated resource plan, which is the documentation issued by the government for persons to bid on these opportunities. You can just take a quick glance at that. And I just want to make mention that Jamaica will be hosting this year the World Free Zone Forum in June 2022 in Montego Bay. So for persons who are in that space or wish to learn more about logistics and Jamaica's value proposition and just a broader industry insights, you can sign up for this. It will be both physical and virtual. If I have another minute or two, I just want to make mention of the other major sectors for Jamaica, which include tourism, manufacturing, mining, and the creative industries. And each of those industries has its own set of opportunities, and I'd be happy to speak further on them. if there are any questions at this time.
So there will be questions, and people can put their questions in the chat as well. And as well, Stephen, you'll be on the panel that we have just coming up shortly, and we will circulate your presentation as well.
Okay.
So thank you so much. I know that this has been for the registrants for this session. This is like drinking through a water hose or a fire hose. There's a ton of really good information here. We're kind of bringing it in a little bit, and we're gonna have some very defined anecdotal experience with Atlantic Canadian companies. Now, we always like to have a little bit of the reverse piece as well. Companies that have gone to Jamaica and have experienced and their experiences in looking at selling in the Jamaican market. We are fortunate that Tom Jenegren with Maritime Paper is with us today and has committed his time to be here as well. Tom is the Director of International Sales for Maritime Paper, which is the leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging in Atlantic Canada. It has 3 manufacturing facilities located in Eastern Canada with convenient access to major shipping ports for ease of exporting worldwide. Tom is an accomplished international sales professional and has participated in many Atlantic Canadian delegations around the world. And so I'm really interested in his perspective, good and bad. Over to you, Tom.
Hello, everybody, and welcome, and thanks for your comments there, Craig. Very interesting presentations. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible in the interest of time. And Arturo had asked me to come in and speak a little bit of our experience in Jamaica. We've been actually participating in trade missions to that region from here since 2003. And I have to say, it's been a very exciting time for us. We've seen some ups and downs in our business. We manufacture corrugated boxes, and certainly with the pandemic and how that has played out, we expected to see a significant downturn in demand for packaging. We were happy to see that, in fact, unlike our expectations, we saw a drastic increase in demand, and I suspect a lot of that came from shortage of supply and supply chain issues. But as a result, we received some very good news back in December of this past December, where we landed some business that we've been chasing since the 2003 visit that I started in this, and it's been very, very good for us. I mentioned that because it shows that persistence and perseverance really pays off, and we have been rewarded some business to Jamaica that has really changed our outlook and our successes in that region. In the past, we were being hindered a lot by a duty that was imposed on our product going into that market, and it really jeopardized our ability to compete with perhaps some of the other suppliers to the market. However, we've managed to find our way through that and find niche areas where we can be successful, and also to find a way to assist in some of the other producers and manufacturers to that region. So I have to say that it's always a challenge when you first start into a market like this, and to see the barriers or challenges ahead of you. But I have to say our experience with it all has been very, very positive, and we're very excited about how the future will develop from here.
Tom, if I remember correctly, you had mentioned that COVID interruption of supply chains really presented opportunities for your company that you were finding on many of your business sourcing, and that business came out of that as a result of companies wanting to diversify their supply chains.
That's correct, and you're absolutely right. We compete with a lot of suppliers that are located right in Kingston, for example, and that was so we looked at that, and we developed a lot of strategic ties with them to be able to complement some of their product lines with some of the things that we can do from here, and that was certainly our initial approach, and we've been very successful with that. But we also found areas where they were struggling to obtain a supply, and especially with the supply chain challenges that were coming on stream here, shipping lines were becoming very challenged with cancellations and port congestions and so on through the winter months, and we have a very great benefit where we are located. We're here in just outside of Halifax in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, literally 15 minutes away from the Port of Halifax. And that being said, we have lots of opportunities with a variety of different shipping lines to get our product to Jamaica. So in times where things got critical there, we were able to pivot and move to our product through either the Port of St. John or through Halifax, or even switching shipping lines just to be able to supply. And that made a big difference to our customers down there. They really recognized how flexible we were through all that, and certainly from a supply of our raw materials was also a challenge. But we had some pretty good strategic partnerships with our suppliers. We don't single source anything, so therefore it gave us an opportunity to take advantage of that and help our customers out.
That's awesome, Tom. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your comments.
Sure.
And congratulations on your contract.
Yeah.
Great news. Next, we have the roundtable, or if you will, the virtual roundtable. And we're going to introduce a few other people to participate in that. Stephen is going to be, who's already spoken, is going to speak in that, as well as we have on the line Trevor Farron. I think my memory serves me correct. I met Trevor, probably it was that first mission in 2016. He presented to our delegation. Trevor is currently a consultant at large. However, he's formerly the CEO of the Jamaican Chamber of Commerce. He's worked on capacity building and governance projects throughout the Caribbean and in 6 countries in Africa. He earned his MBA in international marketing from the Owen Graduate School of Management at Vanderbilt University, and as a Fulbright graduate awardee. So that's, and he's going to be speaking. I remember Trevor is to be a great source of knowledge and experience in the Jamaican economy. As well, we have the privilege of having, I believe, Don Gittins, who is here as well, who is one of Stephen Chirou's colleagues with JAMPRO, who focuses on energy and logistics and infrastructure. So welcome our panel participants. We have some questions. We've talked about quite a bit so this far about what the background is, how the economy is performing, how it's turning around. Maybe if we could ask you to maybe speak briefly about where do you think the dynamic sectors are in the Jamaican economy? Like, where are the very bright spots? Stephen, do you want to, I see you're on my screen there first. Do you want to jump in?
Sure. Thanks, Craig. I believe, outside of the industries that were mentioned in my presentation and Leslie's and Yasmin's, I believe agriculture is probably the lowest hanging fruit. We have been given a mandate by our minister to focus more on ag-based. So sorry about that. On tech-based agriculture. So anything that involves the use of technology to increase efficiencies, to cut down on pests, to improve crop yields, whether it be chemicals or whatever it may be, because there are nanotechnologies that are being developed in the chemical space too. So in that space, I believe there are many opportunities for companies in that space.
Okay, perfect. Don, Trevor, are there areas in the economy that you think that haven't been really highlighted in the presentation so far that you would like to, that you think that are areas that our delegation might want to consider?
Yeah, go ahead, Trevor. I'll finish up.
Okay, so I agree with Steve's point about the agriculture sector. Just to know that we were probably looking at the future of agriculture under the mega farm.
Your voice is very low, Trevor. I don't know if there's a mic you could bring closer. Or...
That would be because the mic was properly adjusted.
Okay, good.
Sorry about that.
Much better.
Okay, so looking at mega farms, and the concept is one where you, it's almost like industrial farming on large scale farms, sometimes integrated operations that cover quite a few hectares, and thus allows you to derive a lot of concentration of resources, things like cooling, chilling, packaging, things of that nature, ranging from fruit crops, tree crops, to vegetables, what have you. So I do know that there has been some encouragement, and Don would know the details better than I, to get a couple of these on the way within the next couple of years. And I think, if I remember correctly, Don, where the projections are that the government is looking to have somewhere in the region of $2 to $3 billion US invested in these types of operations. So if some of the mission participants are looking around for opportunities, they may want to get further information on that. The second one would be, again alluded to by Stephen, would be looking at the integrated plan for the securing of investments in renewable energies. And because that is one of the areas where, for all of the environmental things that are happening now, that are causing a lot of countries to rethink their dependence on imports. We are, I think the last figure I saw was we're somewhere around 86 to 88% of our energy is still coming from imports of fuel, LNG, what have you. And if the idea by the integrated plan that the government has been pushing is that we want to move to 30%, deriving 30% of our energy from renewables within, I think, 2025, and hopefully pushing that up to 50% by 2037. I think that there are quite a few opportunities in that area, and those investors within this team that are have the expertise there, have the technology there, would want to look very closely at those plans, and try and get information on those, meet with the right people when they get here.
Okay.
So
ag-
just
ag-
those two
ag-
things.
Agriculture, and the growth of large scale farming and an integrated renewable energy plan and the components that go into developing and involving that in your jurisdiction, or if you
Right.
have services that feed into that, you think that they're the.
I
Okay.
think so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Don?
So Craig, what I'll do is I'll just touch on everything that Stephen and Trevor has said, and just to give it a little bit more of a structure and perspective. So touching on agriculture, we import the majority of our food, and what we need to do is have more investment here, just like Trevor said and Stephen. But I'm going to touch on 5 areas and that I believe is critical. And I'm going to start with the renewables first, which Trevor was speaking to. When Stephen mentions the integrated resource plan, the integrated resource plan, and I'm hope I'm not repeating, but if I'm repeating, is like practice, practice. Yeah, you get it perfect by the time you're finished. So integrated resource plan is a 20-year roadmap that the government has put together of how we would integrate renewable energies onto the grid and some other type of energy sources, but we're going to focus on renewable energies. The reason why that's a low-hanging fruit, and it's one of the critical areas for Jamaica right now, as Stephen and Trevor had said. We want to get to, we said 2037, but we're going to be a little bit more ambitious. We want to get to 50% by 2030. And that is something that the Prime Minister has said unofficially. In the document, it says 2037, but the Prime Minister, he wants to get to 50% by 2030, right? Right now, we are at 14%, and that 40% is made up of solar, wind, and a little bit of hydro. So the slide that Stephen showed you, the opportunity that we have, so we're at 14%, we want to get to 50. So you can see that's 36% of renewables that we need to get to. So there's going to be a request for proposal that's going to come out from the government for renewables. And that opportunity is 320 megawatts of wind or solar, 120 megawatts of liquid natural gas, and 74 megawatts of hydro, waste to energy, or biomass. So that specific set of metrics is the opportunity that we have right now as it relates to renewables. Another opportunity is affordable housing. The government has reiterated that we need to have 70,000 housing solutions in 5 years. I don't think we've started to even scratch that surface of the 70,000 housing solutions in 5 years. So that again is a huge opportunity for anyone who is in that area or looking to dive into that area or provide services in that area. There's also the opportunity of waste to energy. As a government, we are actually in the process, and I'm giving you a lot of information in a short space of time. So I'll try and see if I can get some of it back to you. Waste to energy. We're actually in the process of doing a national project where we're looking at the integrated waste plan, where we're taking all of our landfills and we are doing a structured transaction. It's going to be a public-private partnership transaction of where we are doing island-wide collection of waste. And we're going to have two plants. So it's going to be a complete re-engineering of how we collect waste in our country. And coming out of that, we're going to have 2 waste energy plants, one that should provide about 50 megawatts, and others provide about 20 megawatts on different parts of the island. And that is going to be in the form of a request for proposal. And we are going to have a market sounding event to tell more information about this sometime in July, might be earlier. I'll keep in contact with you so that you can get it out to your members for that information. We are in the process of finalizing the business case And the business case is about 75% complete. We should finalize it in late June, early July. And then that will go to cabinet for sign off, and then we'll get it going. So we should have a request for proposal that persons can bid on by July, August, anyway, September, anyway, in that region. Then the other two quickly is logistics, warehousing, and distribution. We need more warehousing space, more distribution space, etc. And finally, shared services, BPOs. We're big on that. We need space, need practitioners, etc. I'm not sure who's on the call, but I just want to give a overall of the low-hanging fruit as it relates to opportunities in Jamaica. And I touched on about 4 or 5 different areas.
That's really interesting. Thank you very much. It seems like we can never have enough time. I'm going to say we got about 2 more minutes left. I just want to, so just, a little bit from where we're coming from, and some of this, we do have a background and experience in solid waste management. There's quite a bit in Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada. And we've been through that path as, the agriculture, waste energy, housing. I think housing is becoming an issue everywhere. But from Atlantic Canada, in terms typically of the things that we have done with Jamaica in the past, things like education or the things that we're strong at.
Screen frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it
Okay.
froze. Maybe.
Craig, are you still there?
He ducked out into the sunshine, I think.
Listen, while we try to get back Craig, Tanya, I wonder if I could just make one quick point though. One of the areas he was looking at he was mentioning there was education. And we have cooperated on trying to get some of those linkages in the past. One of the things where we're having serious problems concerns productivity. And it strikes me that whether within the people you're bringing, your partners, CWB, what have you, whether there may be some scope for adventuring. I know we have done collaborations with educational institutions and with vocational institutions over the years. I do not know what the opportunities are, except that we have a major issue with respect to productivity. We have been pretty stagnant for decades in terms of where we are with that. Perhaps some of your colleagues might want to look at remedies, solutions, partnerships that can assist our educational and training institutions as well as our businesses, because this is a seriously limiting factor for our productive sectors here in Jamaica.
Thank you, Trevor, and we'll certainly take that into consideration as we're reaching out for recruitment for the mission. So thank you all for participating in the roundtable discussion. Sorry we didn't have more time. We are at the top of the hour, so I'm just going to round this out very quickly and just say thank you so much to the Canadian Trade Commissioner Service, to Sophie, Yasmin, and Leslie Ann, Trevor, to you, and Stephen, Tom, and Don. Thank you for your time today and your insights into the Jamaica market. We really do appreciate it, and I know everybody here online does as well. I just wanted to say that we Welcome back, Craig. I took over for you, so
I think I got the hook.
we thought you went out into the sunshine. So registration is now open for the trade mission. We are taking 10 companies, so just want you to kind of be cognizant of that. And really, it's a great way if you haven't been on a trade mission before, and like Tom and I'm sure Jim Fitt, who's on the line, and Bugsy would all tell you, it is really a way to start to develop those relationships to begin business in new markets. And so it really is, being in person this year is such a breath of fresh air and an opportunity to really deepen the relationship. Virtual has been great, but certainly in person is better in my respect. So what happens with the mission? You're guaranteed 6 to 8 meetings in market. These are matched by Arturo and Paula and their team to make sure that you connect with those companies in Jamaica that you're looking to do business with. We have a in-market travel, so when you land in Jamaica, your transportation is provided and to and from your meetings. We have a secretariat room in the hotel where there's a center for you to come down and have a coffee, have some meetings if they're on site, and also the support of Arturo and Paula and their team. We try to do a few networking dinners, delegate dinners, and so it's a really great way to be able to explore new markets, but also to revisit markets and rekindle some of those relationships in person. So how do you register after this presentation today? We are going to send you an email with all the links that you need, the presentations. We encourage you, if you have any questions, to please give us a shout, Craig, myself, or Arturo. More than happy to answer any questions that you have. And if you are also interested in the Miami mission and you missed it, happy to send that information along to you. Just request it from us. We have the presentations and the recording that we can share with you as well. So just encourage you to have done your homework, that you've looked at the Jamaican market, that you feel that it is a good fit. And if you need some more information, please don't hesitate to ask us. Craig, any last final departing words?
I'm just wondering though, Tanya, this is Yasmin.
Yes.
If you could indulge me to just respond to Trevor's comment. Trevor, I would love for you and I to have a discussion because the Canadian government does have a very robust education training program with the government of Jamaica via the universities here. And most recently, over the last 2 years, we have opened another scholarship which looks at the green economy and the technical and vocational side of training. So if you want to get more information, please feel free to call me or send me your contact information and I will get in touch with you and we can discuss that.
Perfect.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, Asman.
Perfect. And thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your attention and your time, particularly for the presenters that put time and energy into preparing their presentations and being here today. Thank you for always being so gracious to us when we ask for your time. And we look forward to meeting you in the months to come. Thank you very much. And have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Great job. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, that was great.
Holy Moses, it was so much.
Yeah, I think you're right. We need the extra time next time. That extra half hour would make the difference.
And I didn't I just, we talked about, the value of participating in a mission and the value of matchmakers bringing to trade mission. I was kind of hoping, maybe deliriously, that I would have time to cover that in the end. And I don't think we account for the time in transition. So the thank yous and the intros, I'm cutting into their time, so they get 10 minutes. And I got 2 minutes or 3 minutes consumed already, and then I turn into a bit of a Nazi.
You have to do that though,
the
Craig.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
I know it's not an easy role.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
That's for
But anyway,
sure. But no, it was great.
I was texting people all the way through, so like
I have lots of notes.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
I think those sectors that they talked about, especially the agriculture piece, we've been working with a company, actually they're out of Pictou County here, 2 women who have developed a new technology. I'm just gonna check back in to see exactly what it is, but they may be somebody that might be interested. They're doing, I think they're doing pretty well. So
Specifically in what area?
Agriculture.
Okay.
Yeah. I just got to check. I can't remember the specific product, but they've been at it. I think they won like in the NovaCore pitch there 1 year, and they've been developing the product. They've just gone through our Grow Now program.
Okay.
So they've been working like with NRC and whatnot. So they might be somebody that's might be interested. A couple others. I mean, I like the points that they gave us on the, especially Dawn at the end on the renewables, the affordable housing, and the he talked about. I think we lost you there, but productivity training. Being something that he sees as being a high focus. Trevor did actually. He brought it up, so that's why Yasmin reached out to him at the end there to say we should have a conversation, but it may be something that he's seeing as a consultant that is of concern. So
because we did say professional services, I think it might have been just as I've never been cut off on that.
I know.
It's kind of somebody was at the controls and said, we've heard his voice enough.
No, it was great.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
I think there's certainly some opportunities there, and I think that we've probably got 5 people already confirmed. So yeah.
Okay. So I'm working on the link.
Great.
So I'll get that to you.
Okay, great. Yeah. And Jen must have had another meeting this afternoon. She wasn't able to make it. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay,
but
she'll send everything out with all of the pieces.
Okay.
So okay.
Good
stuff.
Okay. Good. And Paul and Arturo bailed. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Well, Paula's under the knife right now, I would think so.
Oh shit! Right, she was going to be in the parking lot. I'd forgotten.
Yeah. So she's probably had her operation by now.
And so what was it?
Cataract.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they don't take long in there. You're in and
is it
out.
laser? It might even be laser.
No, they take the.
Okay.
Take the whole cataract.
Yeah. I can't. You know what? You can talk about open heart surgery, but and I can listen. But eyes, I don't know what it is.
Well, I said to Paula, I've had it done. It's the simplest procedure I've ever had done in my life.
Okay.
It was
Lania,
easiest.
are you still there?
She might have just stepped away from her laptop. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
I think you always come in with a really grounded kind of voice, disposition. I think we're good. Kind of, I'm a little bit of frenetic energy in these sometimes, and you're kind of like it's
get the job done.
Yeah. It's so we're good. We're a good balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paula prompted me yesterday to be looking at airfare, like air tickets and whatnot, especially to Jamaica. So you might want to give some consideration. I don't know how far out you can purchase, but
I purchased 2 weeks before I went to Miami, but no, I will look at it. I will look at it. I'll have all that lined up. Miami was backlogged because we were just coming out of COVID. That's why.
Yeah. I looked at the flights to Kingston. There seems to be lots of them, and they weren't that expensive. I think. think about $900 return to Halifax, but that's direct if you didn't go into
Yeah.
Miami. So
But it would be useful if, once we have the registrants solidified, that if we could give them, because I think we've said that, sometimes it's much easier to get flights and affordable flights out of Montego Bay.
Yeah.
So that would be a useful piece of advice to pass out to the delegates.
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm
that's for
gonna
sure.
that template I sent you.
Mhm.
I'm gonna add that. I'm gonna go back to that, and I'm gonna add in some things just so that we have that and if you have points that can be templated,
Right.
so I'm gonna add in kind of the segues. There should be 2 to 3 minutes accounted for in the segues.
Yeah.
There should be as well as we had some instructions roughed up as to what the presentation should look like. I mean, some of those slides we got, it was like a dissertation. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't need to be, and you don't. Anyways.
Yeah. No,
But it was all good information.
It was actually, you know what? The information was really, I genuinely feel like, more time. It was a real unfortunate thing that we didn't have more time. Stephen and Yasmin and Leslie Ann,
Yes.
their information was brilliant. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the 3 guys that spoke on the panel, was really, they were coming out with nuggets, that certainly.
Yeah, I think we need to dive deeper in those pieces. So yeah.
I think so too, actually. I totally agree, Tanya. Just from this conversation, listening to waste energy,
Mhm.
listening to infrastructure, listening to productivity. We could be driving down those, ACOA. We've been driving productivity. We know consultants, the consultants that are out there doing it in Atlantic Canada,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I figure they have all those shipping crates in Jamaica, might be affordable housing there, right? They use them here.
Oh yeah.
They use them elsewhere.
I've seen beautiful homes, multi-layer, multi-level homes made out of shipping containers.
Absolutely.
And you probably don't have to spend a lifetime paying it off either.
No. I know you do here, that's for sure.
Oh
Man.
yeah.
Okay, well, I've got to run to another meeting for 2:30. So
Will do. Let you go.
Perfect. Okay.
Take care.
Okay.
Thanks, Tanya.
Chat soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay.